Hello students, let us start today with the new chapter, chapter 4, class as the basics of all computations. The basic as well as the fundamental concept of object-oriented programming is to deal with the real world entities. And to deal with the most powerful method created by the programmers was the class as well as the objects. And now you know that we write all the programs inside a class. So when we create a function or constructors, then that too will be inside the class. So in this video, let us learn more about class as well as objects and how this has become the basics of all computations. To begin with, we'll see what is the significance of a class. I know that you know what is a class and what is its significance, but still let us see in detail. So as you all know, class is a blueprint or a template that describes the details of an object. And we can also say that class is simply a representation of similar types of objects. And what are objects? Objects are the real world entities which possess characteristics and behavior. And characteristics are datas and behavior means functions. And objects are the instance of the class, right? So objects cannot be created without a class. So in programming terms, an object is a value of a class type. Like similar to the variable or a function of a class, even objects are also a part of a class or a type of a class. So hence we can say that class is a template for an object and all the objects are instantiated from a class. So we can conclude by saying that class is the basic building block upon which the Java program is been relying on or built upon. Now let us recall what is the syntax of defining a class. You already know it. Once again, let us see. Public class, class name. So public is the access specifier. Class name. And if you are not mentioning a public while defining a class, by default it is public. And if you wanted to make the class private or protected, then you have to mention it separately. So public class name, data type, instance variables. So instance variables are how you define inside the class the variables. So data type, that is for example int abc, float cd. So those are the instance variables. The next is data type method 1, inside the bracket parameter list. So you know how to define a method, you have studied in functions chapter. Then body of the method, and again you can have as many methods, and once all the methods are done, then we will be having the closing bracket of a class. So this is the general syntax of a class. So in last year you learned a class without including a function. In this year you have learned how to define a function. So basically when you are dealing with any software making, we will be using functions as well as variables. So basically when you develop a software, we must use functions. Okay, so it is a must thing inside a class that a function should be there. Now let us see what is the syntax of creating objects. In the functions chapter, you learned how to create objects and why these objects are needed. Because without creating an object, the memory will not be allocated for the class, and without creating objects, you will not be able to call the functions. So it is very important to create objects. So we'll see what is the syntax. Class name, object name is equal to new class name of. Class name is the class name of which we are going to create the object. Then object name. So usually we used to give obj1, obj2 like that. It can be even anything else too. So if you are making a class of student, then it can be having the name students names as an object name. So if it is you are making a class as a car, then car names can be object. Okay, this all these things we discussed in the first chapter. So please go through that to know more. And is equal to new class name of. So new keyword should be used. Then again class name, function bracket open close and semicolon. So this is the general syntax of creating objects. Now we'll see what is instantiation. When an object of the class is created, then it is said to be instantiation. That means whenever an object is created, then we call it as instantiation. And all the instances share the state, that is attribute, and the behavior, that is functions or variables and functions described within the class. Now we have noticed that we use new operator while creating the object. So we'll see what are the significance of using this new operator. So once you have used this new operator, there are certain things that happens and we'll see what are they. First thing is a new instance of the given class is created. That is a new object, new instance of the given class. Instance means again object of the given class is created. Secondly, memory is allocated for the object. So as I told before, whenever a class is created, there won't be memory allocated. So when you are creating an object with the new operator, then the memory will be calculated by the variables as well as the functions used in that, and it will be allocated. So whenever you use a new operator only, the memory will be allocated for that object. Then a special method defined for the object in the class called the constructor is executed. So in the constructor chapter we learned like if we are not using any constructor, then default constructor will be initiated, and all the instance variables will be initiated with the default initial values. And you know the default initial values for integers are 0, floating points are 0 0.0, characters are a space, and strings is null, as well as boolean is false. To stress on the memory allocation of any class or objects, here is again a note repeating the same thing. Like whenever a class is created, no memory space is allotted to it, because a class is simply a blueprint containing objects and methods. The memory space is allotted only to the objects of a class. So whenever an object is created, only for that objects the memory will be allotted. So if there are two objects for a class, two separate memory will be allotted. If there are three objects for a class, then three separate memory will be allotted for that class. Let us recap a few terms we discussed in the first chapter. First one is class is a composite data type. So when a user creates a class, it becomes the data type of his choice. Hence, the class name becomes such a data type that uses different primitive types and is known as composite data type. So I hope it is clear that when the class is using primitive data types in it, it becomes a data type as such, and that is why class is known as a composite data type. And next is class as an object factory. Factory is the term given to the workplace where machines are deployed to produce items of similar types. And class is similar architecture that can be used to create various objects having different states and common functions described within it. As the class produces different objects having similar features, it is known as a object factory. Next is class is an abstraction for the objects. And you know what is abstraction? Data abstraction is an act of representing the essential features without including the background details. And when we create a class, the data items are merged or grouped with the belonging functions. So data items means the variables which we define inside the class. And data items really need security. And when you are writing a function or method, then we use this data items to execute the statements which we write inside the functions. So that is what here it is mentioned. That is, data items will be merged or grouped with the belonging functions. Then, so with the objects, the user is allowed to access its functions without having the direct interaction with the data members. So this shows that class is an abstraction for the set of its object. So we are not accessing the data members or data items or variables using the objects. We use only the functions with the object. That means with the data variables are processed inside the functions, and that values we will be receiving when we are calling the functions. So we are not directly accessing the data members. So this shows that the class is an abstraction for the set of its objects. With this, I'm concluding this session. I hope all the topics which I described in this chapter is clear to you, and we'll see in the next session also with the same chapter. Thank you.